here's what I want to do. I want to invite you to a challenge to be able to participate in this. There's something that starts this week that's known as Lent. This is something that's historically been done in the church for generations. I did not grow up in a church that practiced Lent in this way, and sometimes the religious systems and religious practices can feel a little bit clunky, but it starts on Ash Wednesday, which is this Wednesday, and it's 40 days. It goes right up until the Thursday before Good Friday. And so what people do during this season is they intentionally choose to fast something, to say, hey, you know what, I'm not just going to not eat. It's not about just removing something. It's about refocusing on something, but I'm going to put my time and energy, usually in this case, I'm going to remove something and I'm going to put my energy on the scriptures and on what God might say through the scriptures and on prayer and me talking to God and inviting God to speak to me. And I'm just telling you, some of you, if you do this, if I would say all of you if you do it, but those of you that will choose to do this, man, you may hear from God and experience God in a way that you never have in your life. Not because God is all of a sudden louder, but you're more focused. I'm convinced God is always speaking. I'm convinced that God is always active, but amidst the distractions, sometimes the noise of life, we just can't hear him. So here's a few samples. Here's a low-hanging fruit based on this series. One of the ways that you can fast is called a digital fast. You're like, oh, I'm not doing that. Imagine that, right? Now, for some of you, let me just say, you can't do it for work. Your boss is like, you're fired. You're like, well, my pastor said still fired, right? So you got to do it for work. I understand. But what if, from the time you got home until the time you went to bed, no social media? Ooh. Tell your teenagers. Jim's up there telling them right now, by the way. What if maybe it's just a certain thing like Instagram or it's TikTok or I'm not going to watch the videos because you just suck you into a dark hole and 3 hours later you come out with a beard and you're like, oh, what happened to my life, right? So maybe it's just a portion. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe for you it's not that. Maybe it's Netflix. Say for 40 days, no Netflix, no movies. Maybe it is actual food. Maybe it's a portion. Maybe it's lunch. Maybe it's a certain time of the day. One of the most difficult fasts that I ever did, there's one called the Daniel fast. And basically, Daniel didn't eat the king's meat in order to show honor to God, and he ate vegetables only. I did one of those for 21 days. It's the only fast I've ever accidentally broken. Apparently pepperoni is not in the regimen for it. So that one, I would rather just not eat for 30 days than to do that. But here's what I'm telling you. It's not like some weird, practice to hurt yourself. It's literally this thing, it can be liberating to break habits in your life and to refocus what you're doing and take that same time and energy and brain space and perhaps even money that was allocated to that thing and allocate it to something else. Allocate it to scripture, to prayer. And I'm telling you, this for 40 days could reframe the way you think about your life. We've got a QR code. And we'll put this out today. We're calling it 40 Days of Focus. But there's some resources there. There's a reading plan. There's a couple of books, including one that walks you through a digital fast, the Daniel fast that I mentioned. And so if you want to engage with this, this is not a homework assignment. This is an invitation to recalibrate your life. And again, leads right up to Easter.